The Last of Us factions multiplayer has been canceled. After an entire decade in development, Naughty Dog decided to pull the plug on this game. Now, this doesn't surprise me. This doesn't concern me at all. This is something that, has been in the cards for a while now. There was no enthusiasm about this game. Nobody cared about it. Uh, but to see Naughty Dog take such a massive L like this is always very cathartic, especially after the Game Awards, where they tried giving best adaptation to the Last of Us TV series. That was embarrassing, but it's nice to see like Naughty Dog take such a massive L like this, and this is objectively an L, and that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this because it's not. Uh, right now, there are a lot of shills out there, Naughty Dog enthusiasts, fanboys, parasites, right? Who are coming out saying that, oh, this isn't a bad thing. Naughty Dog is just playing to their strengths. They don't want to put out a bad product. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like, people are just trying desperately to downplay what this means for Naughty Dog, right? The product that we've known has been in development for quite some time has been canceled, right? And instead of being angry about it or thinking that something must be up with the studio, the fanboys cannot the fanboys cannot accept that this is objectively an L, right? They can't accept that Naughty Dog They cannot accept that Naughty Dog has failed, right? They cannot accept that the studio, all they had to do was put out a multiplayer component to The Last of Us Part 2, and they couldn't do it. And this is after, years and years of trying to build this thing up. I remember when NeoGaf and like those guys uh, on that community were trying to tell us that The Last of Us Part Two's multiplayer was like an underrated gem, right? It was one of some of the best multiplayer we've ever seen ever, right? I remember these guys like just going crazy about the Uncharted and that, and it was crazy, you know, going into The Last of Us Part Two, having Naughty Dog confirm that they weren't going to have multiplayer for it, and seeing the same people just kind of damage control it. Like, oh, that means they're going to put more resources into the single player, so it's going to be even better than the 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Like, that is the mindset that these people are in, right? Naughty Dog is the best because they just are, right? It has nothing to do with the product. It has nothing to do with like the features. It has nothing to do with the games itself. Like, Naughty Dog is the best because I say so, right? And that's basically what this amounts to, right? Nobody nobody wants to admit that this was a massive failure on The Last of Us's part. More more people need to understand that Naughty Dog is objectively a poorly run studio with no real talent that is coasting entirely off of hype. More people need to understand that the studio simply isn't capable of making something like this like this multiplayer or something on the level of like RE4 or any of these better third person action games that The Last of Us desperately wants to be seen as, right? Nobody nobody wants to admit that The Last of Us is a failure, right? Nobody wants to admit that like the series coasts entirely by hype and by game journalist praise and like attention when when in reality, we're at the point now where they can't even release a project, right? They're canceling projects now. They're at that point. They're losing staff, they're losing talent. Their last major release was poorly received. Like more and more, it feels like this studio is just going downhill, underwater, like drowning. And nobody wants to admit it. Like nobody wants to admit this studio is just a complete failure, right? So I think one of the major takeaways from this is just how blind and delusional the fanboys are in regards to these topics, right? How how insane they are for seriously coming out and trying to tell us that the Naughty Dog is a great studio that produces nothing but hits, that they're fantastic, that they're amazing devs. When in reality, like they're just not even mediocre. They are probably one of the worst major developers in the industry right now. And yet they're the ones getting hyped at the Game Awards. Neil Druckmann is being pushed as like one of the industry's top talent. The Last of Us Part 1 is still being thought of as one of the best games ever made. And they're trying to gaslight people into thinking The Last of Us Part 2 is good as well, right? Like a lot of people are delusionally trying to push this narrative that this is a spectacular video game, right? That this is a studio that's worth getting excited for, that's worth defending, but in reality, no, it's not. It really isn't. Never was, never will be. The Last of Us was always a joke. I I hope that eventually, with this cancellation, more and more people start to wake up to this fact because it does kind of feel that way that people are getting sick and tired of this studio getting worshipped the way they do, right? Like this is a studio that really needs to be condemned for what they do and how they do it.